In a small, sleepy town nestled among rolling hills and dense woods, there lived a young girl named Clara. At 10 years old, she was shy and reserved, often keeping to herself and finding solace in books rather than the company of others. Her father worked long hours at the factory, and her mother, who had passed away 2 years prior, left a void that Clara couldn't seem to fill. Each day, the weight of loneliness felt heavier on Clara's slender shoulders, and nights became her most difficult time. She lay in bed, blankets pulled up to her chin, listening to the creaks of the old house, the wind howling against the windows, and the murmur of distant voices she imagined were echoing through the halls. Fear and a sense of abandonment often kept her awake until dawn illuminated her room with a faint, reassuring light. One particularly stormy night, Clara found herself unable to sleep. The rain pounded relentlessly against the roof while distant thunder rumbled ominously. She tossed and turned, her mind swirling with thoughts of her mother and her father's absence. Desperate for comfort, Clara did something she hadn't done in a long time. She clasped her hands together under the covers and whispered a prayer. "Dear God," she began, her voice quivering with hope and fear, "I feel so alone and scared. Please, help me find happiness in my heart again." As she uttered these words, she felt a warmth spreading through her chest, a gentle glow as if the heat of a small candle had ignited within her. It wasn't dramatic or overwhelming, but it was there, a faint flicker of hope. That night, for the first time in weeks, Clara fell asleep with ease. The next morning, Clara woke to the soft light of dawn streaming through her window, feeling different, lighter somehow. She got up and dressed with purpose, deciding to take a walk in the woods that surrounded her home. As she ventured into the forest, the sound of birds chirping and leaves rustling filled the air. Sunlight filtered through the trees, casting a kaleidoscope of warmth on the forest floor. Clara found herself smiling for the first time in a long time. She reached a small clearing and sat on a large rock, closing her eyes. The peace of nature enveloped her, and for the first time, she truly felt a connection beyond herself. It was as if every rustle, tweet, and gentle breeze was a whispered assurance that she was not alone. Over the following weeks, Clara made it a habit to venture into the woods, her sanctuary, seeking the presence she had felt that night in her room. Her heart began to heal, filled with a newfound faith and an understanding that she was indeed cared for and loved from above. Clara's transformation didn't go unnoticed. Her father began to see a change in her, a glimmer in her eyes he hadn't seen since her mother passed. One evening, as they sat together on the porch, her father asked, "What's brought this change in you, sweetheart?" Clara looked up at him and smiled. "It was a prayer, Dad," she replied. "I just talked to God, and He showed me that happiness was still within reach." Her father squeezed her hand, feeling grateful to see her at peace. And so Clara learned that in her darkest moments, she was never truly alone. With faith and the love that surrounded her, she embraced the world anew, no longer afraid, no longer lonely. Clara was filled with hope and happiness, a testament to the power of belief and the reassurance that light shines even in the greatest darkness.